Beaming to you from the Plastic Microphone Studios, nestled deep in the heart of Cajun country. Welcome to Fave from Fans. I'm your ever enthusiastic host, Jamie Ray, and I am thrilled to have you join us for another exciting episode of the podcast dedicated to all things favorites. Hey, why don't we dive right in and discover our favorite picks of our Bram Stoker nominated guest? That's right. Today, I have invited back to the Plastic Microphone Studios, Mark C. Scioneaux. Don't ask me how to spell it and why, I'm really not sure, but I did. And we're going to discuss our 5 favorite movie remakes. Greetings and salutations, Mark.
Third time's the charm, Jamie.
Ooh,
Number 3.
I'm hoping. I'm
I'm
hoping.
I'm about to get a co-host cred.
Well,
Mark C. Sino presents Fave 5 from
there you
fans
go. You
with Jamie Ray in tiny letters underneath
you're
it.
tiny letters.
Tiny letters.
Jay Hall is at 8 and Scout's at 7, I think.
Oh,
So
jeez.
just
Oh,
saying, you got to work,
oh,
man. You got to
we're gonna
work.
crush. I'm gonna crush those numbers. Don't worry.
Wow. So
Don't.
we are decided to talk about remakes of movies. And so it's not necessarily a sequel. It's basically they take the original movie, the original source material, and then redo it. So
Mhm.
what are remakes? Okay. So remakes can be really bad. Roadhouse, they're not always a bad thing, though. Sometimes they can be fun, and other times they can give us a whole different perspective of the source material. And as an author, I know that you're all about getting different perspectives of things and seeing it from different ways and portraying it. So I think remakes probably right up your alley.
I like remakes. I like that they breathe a new energy, a new life into classic movies. Um, I don't agree when so many people get in a tizzy saying that like, oh, this movie exists and now it ruins the other movie that existed. And I'm like,
Yes.
it can't replace the original
Right.
movie. In fact, I think in a lot of ways it's great that the remake exists because best case scenario, the remake is good, and then you have 2 movies you can enjoy. Or worst case, the remake is bad, and maybe it drives people to the original movie that they hadn't seen before and
Yeah.
maybe hadn't heard of before. I would
Right.
be willing to bet a lot of people, especially these days, a younger generation, probably doesn't know some movies are remakes
Yeah.
of original
And
movies. And there's a couple movies that I picked also that, are they're remakes of movies that were a long time ago.
yeah.
Um, Many probably think these are the original movies, but they're not. They're remakes. But I personally, I love a good remake. I love that it's faster, and a lot of times with horror, it's gorier, it's louder, it's in your face, and it's just for me, it's just a fun ride and fun entertainment.
Yeah. And the third thing, too, don't forget, is that sometimes it's better than the original.
Yes,
I
there's
mean,
many ones that are considered classics that are remakes, and
right.
people don't know that they're remakes. So I mean,
No, no.
but they're considered classic movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to do this episode. I love talking about remakes. I love watching them. Um, so yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Well, cool. Well, cool. Well, as we always do, I asked you to sit down and make a list of your 5 favorites. And I gave you the option to make some honorable mentions. And of course, what is an honorable mention? If you haven't joined the show before, this is the point of the show where if you go any further, that's it. You're indoctrinated. You can't get out. There's no
Right.
vaccine. There's no cure. Um, so did you, in fact, get some honorable mentions?
Well, you know me with honorable mentions.
I guess the question
But
should be, did you bring any notes?
oh, look, I have notes. Got a whole
Whoa!
notepad. I got a notepad, my friend. Um,
I'm scared.
Sometimes when you talking about so many movies, they get jumbled in your head, and
Right.
but yes, I have 3 honorable mentions. Like we had kind of talked about a little off camera. One of these was on my Fave 5 list at number 2 until I just had I had to really reassess everything, and I bumped it to honorable mention, and I feel okay with that.
Well, good. I'm glad I made you rethink yourself and doubt your choices
That's
because
right.
that's what I do.
So I'm
Well,
going to do my own.
I think if you've got yours out, you're ready.
I
I'm
am.
I'm ready to dive in too because I've got some, and I'm really, really interested to see if we're going to have any crossover. I think we'll have
I
at
don't
least
know.
one if I'm
Yeah.
thinking of what we're going to, what you're choosing. But let's see. Let's see. Well, why don't you go ahead, kick us off, give us your first honorable mention.
All right. My first honorable mention is going to be the Amityville Horror from
Mm,
2005.
okay.
I really, really enjoy. I remember seeing this movie in college with my girlfriend at the time. Like I said, it was another time when we had talked about this on the last podcast. When going to the movies was a big time event.
Yeah.
Theaters were packed. The year 2000, the early 2000s was the year of the remake.
Uh,
Um, you had a lot of movies from the 70s being remade. In my research, I really started to notice that a lot of these movies that were turning 30 years old from like 2000 to 2006, 2007, and on, that was the key time for them to be remade.
right.
So the Amityville Horror came out. I thought it was a blast. It
Oh yeah.
was gory, creepy. It was very cliche. I think they threw every little ghost trope they could in it. You had a you had a movie that kind of helped launch Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. And he had his
Um,
shirt off through a lot of it, so I'm sure the
he had his
ladies like
shirt
that.
off, and he just wore pajama bottom pants, and he just ran around trying to save his family and then kill his family. So he was conflicted. Um, but yeah, Amityville Horror was one that I've watched a few times.
Mhm.
I think the original is scarier, um, but I do think the remake is a solid, fun movie to watch. To me, some of these remake movies are kind of the equivalent of like a theme park ride, and
Yeah.
I think that one, to me, feels like a theme park ride.
Mhm. It was a lot of fun. Like you said, it was
It
a
was.
lot of fun. That's a great choice. Now, what does it do better than the original?
Doesn't so much do better. It's just updated. It's modernized.
Okay.
It's just if you like the jump scares, I think the acting is better. The cinematography is better. I mean, it's pretty. It's prettier because it's just shot with updated equipment. So
Right.
like a lot of these remakes just look better than the originals. It doesn't mean they're better movies,
Yeah.
but they just look better. And yeah, I think that would be kind of why I enjoyed that movie. And maybe also I'm a little biased from just seeing it in theaters surrounded by people.
Yeah, that always
Um,
makes the experience better.
yeah, but I remember that one being a very fun one.
Cool. All right. Well, what's your second honorable mention?
My second one is going to be 2006's The Hills Have Eyes.
Ooh, that was a good one. Though the original
It
one
was
was really good.
the original one was really good, but this is one of those times where you can be like, okay, that remake was really good too.
Yeah.
Um, I like that it was a movie that still kept its commentary on the horrors of nuclear weaponry.
Right.
Doing the experimentations, the mutants in the desert, and
The
them
whole
turning
Trinity
everything.
effect.
Yeah, so I mean, it still kept its commentary while also really updating for a modern audience when it came to scares and thrills and action. It was a pretty brutal movie. I think there was a pretty
Oh yeah.
brutal rape. There was a brutal rape scene in that movie. It did not hold back. And I think also what was it, 2006? So I mean, I think that's around your Saws, your Hostels. That was kind of that gore porn era, and I
Yeah.
think it really kind of was true to its era. But that movie, I remember leaving the theater and being like, "Wow, that was really good." And I hadn't seen the original.
Oh
So it
really?
so it made me go and watch the original,
Yeah.
which is
D.
what I
Wallace
think.
and
Yeah, which is
directed
why
by Wes Craven.
yeah, Wes Craven. So like I really think that is a pat on the back when it comes to remakes, is that they can inspire you to go check out the original.
That's a big part of it. I agree. I agree. All
And
right.
my
Well.
And my first honorable mention, my number one honorable mention, and it kills me to put it as an honorable mention because it should be number one in many categories. But I had to back off of it, and I'll tell you why when we finish the whole shebang is
Okay.
going to be 2004 Dawn of the Dead.
All right.
I love that movie so much. I've probably watched it 1,000 times. I know the Johnny Cash intro song to it. Um, the movie relaunched the zombie franchise. I think, with Dawn of the Dead and then The Walking Dead following it
28 days later.
6 or 7 years later, it launched the Dawn of the Dead remake relaunched the zombie franchise. It said zombies are cool, they're scary, and other than there being a shopping mall involved, that was about it when it came to similarities between the original and this one.
Yeah.
But God, it was such a good movie. Another one I saw in theaters, um, and just love. I loved it at the time. I've watched it 100 times,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and I and I just I it's not in my fave five, but it's number one in my heart.
All right. I'm going
I've
to be
told,
interested in that story. I want to know
yeah,
what that story is because
yeah,
that's an amazing movie. Um,
yes, and
all
those are my
right.
honorable mentions.
So I have two. Um, and the first one is the 2010 remake of Piranha
Yeah.
called Piranha 3D. Um, I love the original film. The Joe
Mhm.
Dante directed it. It's a Roger Corman film. Had a budget of like $750,000. Made anywhere from 3 million to 16 million, depending on who you ask. If you had asked, old Roger over there, he'd tell you it was probably 61 million. God rest
Mm.
his soul. We just lost him.
Yeah,
92 years old, but incredible
good
movie.
run.
Another Dick Miller vehicle where, but came around in 2010, and Alexander Aja, the French director who did High Tension and P2, um, took a stab at it. See,
Yeah.
and just brought in an amazing cast. You've got Adam Scott, Elizabeth Shue as a strong female character, Jerry O'Connell, Ving Rhames, Dina Meyer, Eli Roth is in there for a minute, um, and just took the whole feeling of the Piranha movie and kind of turned it on its ear. Because in the
Mhm.
original one, the one that you were all worried about were all the kids at the park. And then this one, it ends up there's a park, but it's all a bunch of spring break drunken
Mhm.
college kids. Favorite part of that entire movie is the first few minutes when you've
Yeah, with
got
Richard Dreyfuss.
Richard Dreyfuss.
Uh-huh.
Now,
Yeah.
did you know that he is Matt Hooper in that movie?
Oh, is he? Does he play
If,
Matt Hooper in that
if
movie?
you catch it later on when they're looking
Oh.
in the bayou and in the dark trying to find his boat, he says,
Uh-huh.
"Yeah, it's super called. And she's real worried about Matt." So, or maybe he doesn't say Matt, but he definitely says,
Yeah. Oh, I was just looking it up. He plays a character called Matt Boyd. So I guess it was maybe that Hooper was the little nod
"Yeah, yeah."
to his Jaws character.
And then
Um
Ving Rhames was amazing in this
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Comes back for the sequel, Three Double D, um, with
Was that the
his
one where he picks up the boat propeller
yes,
and he's killing him? Yeah.
yes. And in the remake, he's got the two his legs were eaten off, so he's got
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So that's
Yeah,
great.
they went wild. Alexander Aja, he wrote the screenplay for The Hills Have Eyes
Oh,
remake.
did he?
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
wow.
he's got his
Yeah,
finger on a lot of.
he does. He did that other one, Red Eye, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
with
High
Cillian
Tensions.
Murphy.
Yeah, High
Yeah.
Tension's always going to be my favorite of his films. Uh,
Hmm.
so, so for my other honorable mention, I have chosen a movie. Now, a lot of times we talk about the fact that the remakes are done, like you said, 10, 20, 30 years afterwards. Sometimes it's done within a year. And
Mm.
a lot of times it's because maybe it was a very low budget. Maybe it was, a foreign film and that's exactly what this one is. This is a remake called Quarantine, and it is
Oh,
based on the Spanish movie Wreck from 2007. So basically, just 1 year later, they decided they're going to go ahead and up it and make it all American. Brought in Jennifer Carpenter, who I love from Dexter. You've got, which I only found out the other day, Jenny Epper was Miss Espinoza. Do you know who that is?
no, I don't.
That was Linda Carter's stunt woman from back in all of the days of
Okay,
Wonder
yeah.
Woman, and she's actually the one who fostered having Zoe Bell in the US to
Mm-hmm.
become a stunt woman. You know Zoe Bell from,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, she was and Doug Jones is in it too as an infected man, a really thin guy. So great movie. It was a great remake. A lot of times they change the ending really differently and you hate it or sometimes you love it. The ending of this movie kind of went in a different way than I kind of wanted it to because I liked the original ending. But it's a way to do it and do it differently. So,
yeah.
and I have one note for you guys from based when we were doing our found footage. Ben Messmer, who starred in the director John Eric Dowell's previous movie, The Poughkeepsie Tapes,
Hmm.
makes an appearance as Firefighter Griffin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, was Poughkeepsie
Yeah,
Tapes on your list or on David's?
that was on David's list. I've
David's.
seen the movie though, but yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's fun.
yeah. I
That's the
finished.
fun of IMDb is going in and seeing like, oh, he looked familiar, and then you're like, oh, he was in that other movie I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, from our Fave Five zombie films, I know we talked about Quarantine and Wreck and all that, and Quarantine is still that is definitely one of the good ones. It would certainly make at least an honorable mention for me, if not even a Fave Five. I just kind of kept it off because we had already discussed it on a previous episode, so I just didn't want to. I mean, to be honest, I could have made a Fave Five zombie remake
Oh
list.
yeah, there's a ton of them out there.
So like, and that's why I really tried to kind of limit myself because
No, that's good to know.
we're just gonna do Fave Five Zombies again, but different ones. But yeah, Quarantine's a wonderful movie. Um, I've actually it's streaming somewhere right now because I keep seeing it recommended for
Oh
me, and I
really?
always yeah, I think it might be on Hulu or something because I keep getting the itch to like click the button to watch it, and I'm like,
Scratch it,
no, go
baby.
watch. I'm like,
Scratch
go
it.
watch something. I know. I'm like, go watch something else, and I'm like, okay, fine. I think I'm
You
gonna break down and watch it.
got any of that quarantine, man? You got any of that
That's
quarantine?
right. Them quarantines.
That's a good one. Well,
That
all
is a
right.
great one.
Well, we've gotten our honorable mentions out of the way. Why don't we go ahead and dig into the real meat of the remakes? Give us your number five.
All right, so my number five, this is kind of like what I was talking about, how like a remake can be done so radically different, it becomes a completely different movie from the original. And maybe it probably only shares the title as really the only thing that ties it to the original movie. And
Mhm.
that is going to be 2001's 13 Ghost.
Ooh, good one.
So that was a remake of the 13 Ghosts from the 1960s. I watched the original 13th Ghost not that long ago. I think it was on Shudder.
Oh,
And I hadn't seen anything really about it. And I watched it and I was kind of like, what the heck is this? I'm like, this is nothing like the remake.
yeah,
Um, Tony Shalhoub, he's lovable in every role, as always the downtrodden, down on his luck lovable person that you kind of always root for.
mhm,
Shannon Elizabeth's his daughter. That is one thing about these remakes of the 2000s is they had seriously beautiful actresses in a lot of these movies.
right.
Even Hills Have Eyes had Vanessa Shaw. 13th Ghost had Shannon Elizabeth. So again, somebody very easy to root for. But I personally loved the lore
Yeah,
behind the 13 Ghost.
right,
I love that each one looked so uniquely, terrifyingly different.
right.
I love that the movie had it had a good ghost, or but it had a lot of really, really bad ghosts. I love the almost Jurassic Park theme park quality of you can't see these ghosts unless you have these glasses on.
Yeah.
Um, it had a lot of great jump scares, had a lot of great kills, and it was just a very good movie. And I'm still patiently waiting for this supposed series we're going to get where
Yeah.
they explore, each ghost, the legend of each ghost that we're apparently going to get this mini series.
Yeah. I would
So
like to
we'll
see
see.
that.
Yeah,
One episode each is from what they said,
that's what
but
they said.
who
Um,
knows?
I had people screaming at me on Facebook when I put up a post about a year ago saying like, you know what, I'm just gonna do an anthology where each author writes their own background for these ghosts,
Yeah.
and everyone's like, you're gonna get sued, and I'm like, it's from a lawyer friend to figure out. You've met Everett, that's for
Yeah.
him to deal with. Um,
Everett's
and
got
then
such beautiful hair.
all right, they kept sending me links to the same links I always see that the
Yeah.
show's in development. It's coming out any day now, and but it's really I read up on it, and it seems to still be stalled like they all are. I know that actor strike or the writer strike
Yeah.
really pushed it back. So we'll see. But 13 Ghosts is one of those movies I can sit back and I can watch pretty much whenever it's on, pick it up
Mhm.
whenever, wherever it is on television. And it's just one that's so enjoyable and so early 2000s.
Yeah, it is. It's steeped in the 2000s for sure. Great choice. It's a fun movie. The
Yeah.
original, the William Castle movie, is like you said, it is very different. And I love the fact that they actually have the number 1-3 in the
Right.
poster, in the number 13. Perfect. Great choice.
You,
Great
you could
choice.
spell with numbers. Who knew?
That's it. Hey, Prince could spell with a symbol, so why not?
It's true.
So all right, well, moving on. My number five is a movie that was 22 years apart from its original. Came out in 1978, and I am talking about Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Um, I loved this film because not only was it a remake, it also pretty much had a sequel feel to it with the inclusion of Kevin McCarthy. I just, he was the star of the first one, and he ends up running in front of a car in the second one, shouting the same thing. So kind of a neat, but it had a wonderful cast. Donald Sutherland, Brooke Adams, Jeff Goldblum, Leonard Nimoy was in it, Veronica Cartwright. So many interesting people. Um, Made about, let's see, it came out in December 22nd of 78, made about $24.9 million. No matter where I looked, I could not find its budget. But it's a great story about, I don't know, individuality and staying, being true to who you are, but at the same time, being part of the collective. And it has absolutely one of the very best endings of
Mm.
all movies for me. That sound and that look from Donald Sutherland is just, yeah,
Yeah. No,
so
it's terrifying because
it
you're like,
is.
oh, yeah, she's safe, and then she sees him, and then he just lets out that horrible sound and points, and you
Yeah.
realize, no,
Nope.
no, she
And
ain't
boy, she
safe.
can cry. I mean, she cried in this. She was in Alien. She's the one that sees the chest buster come out. Veronica Cartwright is great, man. But I love this movie. The original movie uh, was in 1956 and has the same kind of feel with the pod people. It's based off of Jack Finney's story, The Body Snatchers from 54. Both of them kind of stick to the same plot, but it being in the 70s, it's updated and it's got some more of the um I don't know, heady type
Hmm.
stuff in it. But it's a great movie. Don't know where you can stream it, but I eventually bought a copy. I think it was a maybe a Criterion copy, but it was really great, the 78 version. So anyway,
And
love
then there
that one.
was then there was a remake of that one with Nicole Kidman. Didn't they?
Yeah,
Didn't they call it just like
Invasion, I think.
Invasion? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was yeah. So as it keeps getting remade, it just loses letters.
There's a lot of people who will say that they took from Robert Heinlein's Puppet Masters because it has a lot
Mm.
of the same feel to it. But I've seen it. I don't necessarily agree with that. I did find it interesting that they made a movie called The Puppet Masters, and an older Donald Sutherland was in it as well, but not even near the same character. But did a good job. But yeah, I think the next version, they're remaking it right now. It's just going to be called Of the.
Just the
Yeah,
Snatchers.
Snatchers. No, that's a
Um,
completely different movie.
yeah,
Um,
right. Don't Google that movie. Um, That's it. I agree with you. It's a great movie. It's super fun. It's that 70s style, which 70s makes everything feel serious.
yeah,
There's no joking. There's no. It's just thinking of all the big horror hits of the 70s. It was just a bleak time, and I think a
yeah,
lot of it was the reaction to, like, the Vietnam War fallout.
right.
You just had a lot of serious, heavy horror movies, and that one was due for a really, really good remake. And again, that's just an example of another remake that's done right.
Yeah.
And yeah, they already remade that remake, and I'm sure they're going to remake Nicole Kidman's remake. And I guess it's just one of those properties that they're going to be obligated to remake every 30 years, but
Yeah.
that's
Bring, like
fine.
you said, bring it up to a whole new generation and let
Keep
them
it
find out
coming.
that there's other versions.
Yeah, keep it coming.
Yeah. All right. Well, why don't you keep it coming with your number four?
Number four is going to be 2003, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Wow. Okay.
That movie was so fun. I still remember another great college memory of watching that movie with a friend and just seeing Leatherface so completely badass, monstrous. He wasn't this, in Texas Chainsaw, the original, he was formidable, but not like the remake.
No. No.
And then in Texas Chainsaw 2, which really isn't a movie I really enjoy. I really didn't care for it. He's
You're not
almost,
a Chop Top fan?
yeah, no. See, and I like Bill Moseley, but I'm just not the whole movie. It's to me was just, it
Weird.
was such a tone shift from the original
Yeah.
that it's just like you couldn't tell me this was the same family, the same people. It was just too different. And they made Leatherface so goofy and incompetent, and it just to me wasn't fun. But this movie made Leatherface absolutely lethal.
Yeah.
You start out with that great scene where where they pick up a hitchhiker and she removes like a revolver from, I'm guessing, concealed inside of her, and she kills herself, and you have that great shot that goes through her mouth and then through the bullet hole. Again, Jessica Biel is in it, which is
Ah,
again, we had to suffer through
very
watching
talented actress.
through, actresses like her when we were in college. Um and but to make it better, you had Arlie Ermey, who
Hmm.
was the sheriff,
Yeah.
and he's just fantastic in
Oh,
everything he's in, and
everything he did.
even when he's a screaming over the top drill sergeant, which he is in everything, he's so funny and entertaining
Yeah.
with the way he is. But that movie that movie made me revisit the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and
Yeah.
also I just really liked that updated, super scary, super serious, um, take on the Texas
Right.
Chainsaw Massacre.
So, in
So
a quick
yes,
shift, have you seen, I guess it's a sequel to the original film, and it's called just The Texas Chainsaw, or man, it was shot in 3D.
I think
And
I've seen them. I've seen them all.
yeah, this is the one where the woman who survives from the very beginning went
Hmm.
on to become like a Texas Ranger, and now she's retired.
Well, is that the new one?
I don't know if it's I think it is the latest one, to
Yeah,
be
I think
honest.
it's the new one, that the latest one that came on Netflix. I remember they
Yeah.
tied it in to where she was a sheriff. Yeah, the one
Yeah.
who survived became a sheriff, and they were able to tie it in. So I guess in a way
It's
that
great.
was.
I really enjoyed it, especially when he
I
gets on
really
the
did.
bus.
So many people hated on it. And I don't understand why. I mean,
Uh,
again, that was another just you were watching a movie called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I want to see massacres by chainsaw set in Texas.
yeah.
Did you deliver that
Right.
promise?
Check,
That's it.
check, check.
Yeah. I'm not looking for higher commentary on things. Just give
I
me
don't want the Michigan Tex the Michigan Chainsaw
no,
Massacres. I don't want the
no,
Texas Circular Saw Massacre. No,
right.
you know.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You gave me everything I wanted.
It,
And yeah, no, the original, I'm sorry, the recent one that came out on Netflix was a lot of fun. The bus scene was hilarious. I
it was.
remember, like
You're
I said, they were
canceled, dude.
you're canceled, dude, and then he just ripped through them all, and you're cheering on Leatherface,
Yeah,
because you just hate these Gen Zs. They're
yeah.
terrible, and you're
I
just
just
happy.
saw I just saw another one, and I don't know what it's called, but it's about this young girl or baby, I guess, was there when they they took them all
Yeah,
down from the beginning, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
years
yeah.
later she inherits the house, and
That was the one with another film beauty, Alexandra Daddario. Was that her name?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But I saw
That
that
was
one and
the
again, enjoyed that one too. It was different.
that one is has some pretty good memes because they have the baby and then it's like 40 years later and then the baby is her and she's like 22 and I think the meme is like, what they think a 40-year-old looks like. It's like it's her. It didn't make any sense. Um that was a lot of fun also because I just want to see Leatherface running wild.
Oh yeah, and he
And
certainly did
that's
it in this one.
and that's what delivered it. But yeah, 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think it feel it recaptured the grittiness, the grossness of the original. I mean, it really feels like a gross, dirty movie. And I think they did it with a lot of respect. I think Michael Bay was the producer for it
Oh
too.
really?
Michael Bay was the producer for that and the Amityville Horror remake, I believe.
Wow. I
Um,
don't remember very many explosions in either movie.
no, I guess this was pre-explosion. That'd have been cool, huh? The Amityville Horror house would have just went. Um, but I think if I have it right, ooh, which one came out first? Might have been Texas Chainsaw. I think because I remember one of them did so well in theaters. It might have been Texas Chainsaw that it ushered in the era of horror remakes
Oh.
when everybody wanted to get in on it because then you saw from 2003 you started seeing remakes. Hills of Eyes
Mhm.
came out in 2006, Amityville Horror 2005, Dawn of the Dead, when did that come out? Or 2004.
I think it was four.
So yeah, I mean it's just that is
Yeah, four. And then of course
yeah,
13 Ghosts is 2001.
2000, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that I was doing a little reading, and they had said that that was the it's like the great space race of
Yeah.
horror remakes, and that's why you saw this real explosion of them in the early 2000s.
Michael Bay, I see what you did there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Michael Bay, you pioneer. Thank you. So yeah, my number four, Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2003.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Well, let me parry that with a almost 30-year gap between 1958 and 1986, where we saw the remake and the reimagining of The Fly. Now, you want to talk about somebody who was made to direct this movie his way, and that's David Cronenberg. He took what was arguably a kind of campy look from the 50s with the big, you know, um, Vincent Price, of course, is incredible in both this one and The Return of the Fly. Just took it and turned everything on its side. I mean, you end up getting Brundlefly. It's somebody that you like, and then you hate, and then you feel bad for, and just I mean, Gina Davis, um, John Getz played was Stasis, I think was his name. Just oh man, somebody you really wanted to hate, but at the end was just really, really a great hero. And I loved it. It had a budget of between 9 and 15 million, and it made over 60 million at the
Mm,
box office. Then it came up with a sequel, which we're not going to talk about. Um,
doesn't exist.
It
And
doesn't
that's it.
exist.
It came out with that was it. They had The Fly in 1986, and then they never then
Never made another movie.
Jeff Goldblum went on to do Jurassic Park, and then that was it. I don't remember anything else after that.
But I will always have Brundlefly, owns a space in my head. Lily was watching an episode of Glee the other night, and I
Hmm.
have to go back and dig this up because they're calling it Brundle Prom between
Okay,
junior and senior Brundle Prom, and I was like, they had to have
that's got
because
to be
they,
a
yeah, they got
wink.
to manage it together. But no,
Yeah,
all right, that's
that's
mine.
another
So
great. Yeah, that's another great movie. Jeff
glad you approve.
Goldblum. Yeah, I mean, how can you not? It's what you said. David Cronenberg. His style is body horror, and that one is
Oh,
like the great practical effects in that.
oh man.
You know,
Never look
that
at
scene.
eating steak the same way.
No, no, that's not how I eat my steak. Well, I do drool all over it, but
Or a box
talk
of
about
donuts for that matter.
right, right. I mean, there's that scene where he goes in the bar and does the arm wrestling and snaps the
Yes.
guy's arm. Um, and yeah, and just kind of like and just the sadness at the end when Gina
Hmm.
Davis has to put her fly down. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Good pick.
What's the matter? Is your fly down? What? No.
What? That's how she got him. He went, what? And then she just
What?
shot him. Well, Blam. That'll be the remake in 2024.
Well, all right. Well, let's bounce back and get your number three.
My number three is came out in 2013, and it is
Oh,
called Evil Dead.
okay.
It is more so a reimagining of the original Evil Dead. There's still some winks and nods and some theories that it's even in the same universe
Yeah.
as the one with Bruce Campbell and Ash Williams, but man, he didn't fight those Deadites. He didn't fight those Deadites. These Deadites are brutal. I I'm weird. I love gory, sadistic movies. I love extreme violence and gore. I can watch them while eating, before bed. I just can watch them. My friends, they're like, nope, we can't do it. But
Now I'm
I
with
don't
you.
know. For some reason, it just doesn't. It never got to me. I think it doesn't get to me because I do know it isn't real.
Right.
So
Right.
therefore, um, but yes, Evil Dead was genuinely horrifyingly scary,
Yeah.
and it is like they just slammed on the gas pedal and never let up with that one.
The
It is,
electric knife, carbon
oh
knife.
my God. Yeah, I mean, just did not let up. Just
Yeah.
extreme horror and gore from start to finish.
Yeah.
It's gleefully violent, I think is how I would describe it. Um, but it was fantastic. It was well received by critics and fans. Um, I mean, I absolutely adore it. I love the new one, Evil Dead Rise, that came out. I'm excited that two more are coming out. I don't know. Again, they said in Evil Dead Rise, there's an Easter egg in there where Bruce Campbell makes an appearance, where Ash
Really?
makes an appearance. And yeah, his voice is in the new one in Evil Dead
Right.
Rise. But
Well,
like,
it's in the
dude,
first one too. I mean, it's in Evil Dead too, at the
it's in
very,
Evil
very
Dead as well, and then it's also, yeah, it's at the very very end. But this one in Evil Dead Rise, it's actually in the movie itself.
Oh, okay.
Um, there's the scene where like the kids playing the record, and then you hear like the arguing at the church, and then you hear somebody like screaming during the ritual to stop or whatever, and that's supposed to be Ash.
Oh, wow.
Um, it is Bruce Campbell's voice, and that's
Yeah.
supposed to be Ash. It's just
Wow.
I'd like to see Ash go up against these Deadites because these are not the Deadites from the other movies. These
No,
are
this is not your daddy's dadites.
no, these are brutal, evil demons that are wanting to kill you every way possible, and they can't be killed themselves. But yeah, Evil Dead is, man, if you like gore, it's also a very good movie.
Yeah.
If you like gore though, this scratches that itch very well. So yeah,
You
my
know,
number three is
it
The Evil
held the
Dead.
record for the most blood used in a movie. And that rain
Yeah.
scene at the end.
Yes. So it's a funny story. I caught it on it was on some streaming it was on some streaming no, it was on YouTube TV. YouTube TV had it on, and sometimes you can watch the movies on YouTube TV completely like start to finish.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, sometimes like they have the movies on there that they'll show on other channels, like they will be there and you can watch them, and I hadn't seen it in forever, so I watched it, and I mean it was the same movie. They didn't hold anything back. And then I think because the movie was cut for television, it ended right before the chainsaw blood scene demon
Really?
fight. It ended with her digging up her brother and being like, "Oh, I saved you. We're so happy." And then the credits rolled, and
Oh
I
man,
was so
what a
pissed.
difference.
And my wife had no clue what I was screaming about. And it was like it ended on a happy ending. And I'm like, no, like that's a whole nother, like, where's my blood? Where's my
Make
blood
it
monsoon?
rain.
Oh, it rained. It rained. I would
Yes,
love
it
to have been
did.
on I'd love to have been on set that day, just seeing how they even film something like that. Like, we are
Yeah,
going to open up a fire hose of blood and spray you with it
yeah,
while you deliver your lines.
right. Man, it was
Um,
crazy.
but yeah, that movie's so fun.
Well, good one.
That's my number three.
All right. Well, I'm gonna parry my number three with a perfect example of a 2009 remake from the 70s. Right in that period you're talking about. I am going to pull out Last House on the Left. Now, wow. Monica Potter, Tony Goldwyn, Sarah Paxton, Aaron Paul. I mean, pre Breaking Bad. The first movie, again, another Wes Craven. So we're both, vibing on Wes Craven, was an incredible film for something that looked, I don't want to say fake, but the blood was like super red and whatnot.
Yeah.
That whole attack and rape scene when they go to kill the daughter, um, that's crazy, man. That's
Oh, it's
crazy.
so it's so uncomfortable.
It's so uncomfortable, you know? Um, and okay, so how are you gonna take that and up it in this movie? And oh my God, do they? They in a completely different way and just ooh. I just
Now,
it's one of those movies you
now
can't watch multiple times. I mean,
remind me in that one, don't they change it to where she doesn't get killed?
yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
because they
that
shoot
was
her and she's floating and they find her, but they're
right,
already the crazy people are already in the house. So they
right.
yeah. Um
Which I which I don't mind when
I mean,
I like when a remake takes liberties to make something a little different
yeah,
and maybe reimagine something. She didn't need to die in the remake
right.
for the catalyst to want revenge.
Yeah. Yeah. As a matter of
Um,
fact, it kind of ups it even more because she's still alive and in so much pain and all of that. And I love the fact how Tony Goldwyn instantly goes into doctor mode to save her, and then those same skills are used
mhm.
a completely different way later on. And
Yes,
the mom, oh wow, she took a bite out of crime. That's all I'm gonna say.
that's right. She channeled her inner zombie.
Ooh,
Um,
Lord.
I think it
Um,
shows what the I think it shows what sadistic people can do to somebody, and also what normal people can do when pushed to the limit.
yes, over the
To
edge.
to when you no longer are human anymore, and your primal part of your brain takes over, and now it's just before I'm a law abiding good citizen, but now I'm going to do everything I can to destroy you
Yeah.
because you hurt what's mine. Yeah, the remake gave the audience, I think, more to cheer for.
Yes, I
Um,
agree. And also, you take the doctor who, first do no harm, and at
uh-huh.
the end of the movie, that's all he's doing is harm. Oh, it's just such a good movie, but So
But a
listen,
dark,
let's
it's a dark movie. I
it
mean, it's
is.
dark. It's dark. I mean, a lot of these remakes, I think we kind of recognize that is they ramp up the darkness.
Yeah. Yeah. And not only that, it's also dark in that it happens so much when after the power goes out. Um,
Yes.
it's always, an interesting way to do it. But well, good. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah.
So why don't we stop there for a minute and let's talk a little bit about because you have so much going on
Oh my
with
goodness.
Halloween pull daytime program. What is it called again? Um,
I don't even know anymore. I have my friend said I'm like the October Nights multiverse right
that's
now with everything going on, and he's right. There's so many little side projects going on, but I'm so blessed to have so many talented friends around me who all have different skills. Yeah, right. And podcasts. And I have so many friends around me who are skilled in other ways that I am not, but are
yeah,
taking things that I have created and turn them into something different.
right.
I'd say the most exciting news right now is my brother-in-law Wesley and I have turned Cannibal Fat Camp into a tabletop role play game similar to Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
It is called Escape from Camp Tum Tum. It is a survival horror tabletop RPG. We just did our first playthrough on Tuesday, and we have some bugs we have to work out. We have some
Sure.
things that obviously in our head were made sense, and in gameplay it didn't. But I tell you, we had four friends join us, and 3.5 hours later, everyone was laughing and having the
There you
greatest
go.
time. And there was no better feeling to know that we created something that was fun.
Right.
So people are going to now be able, they're going to get a chance to visit Camp Tum Tum. It is now real. It is fleshed out, and we have created, I think, a really really fun game. And I'm so looking forward to getting it printed and out there into the world.
That's going to be awesome. And I'm assuming you sit around the table, y'all are all eating freeze dried candies.
No, we I cooked a big barbecue meal before for
Ah,
everyone. I kept on brand. I smoked a pork shoulder, so we had some long pig,
there
and
you
then
go.
I made hot dog burnt ends,
Oh,
um, which were absolutely delicious. Um, but yeah, kind of going with that summer camp theme of hot dogs. We
yeah.
had all kinds of yeah. We stuffed everybody, and then we all had to sit around. We're like our stomachs are sticking out. We're breathing heavy while we're playing
Perfect.
the game. Yeah, it was
Perfect.
perfect. We got in character.
There you go.
Um, we were like that before, but
Yeah.
but but after we were full. So that came out. So that's a thing, and it's moving right along, and I'm really hopeful I'm gonna have it ready for sale when I start doing shows in the fall.
Cool.
I don't see why it won't be. Wesley and I have been working super hard on it, and that's kind of our focus.
Yeah.
Um, we're still accepting stories for our anthology, Gabagool, the
Yeah.
Mafia horror anthology. We've gotten so many submissions
That's cool.
from so many authors. It's really neat. We've gotten submissions from authors, obviously, from Europe. I had my first submission from an author in India.
Wow.
Um, yeah, we're getting some international reach with this one. Um, we have a lot of stories, and we still have a while to go. July 31st is the cutoff, so
Yeah. Yeah.
there's going to be a lot more stories coming in. So
Wow.
him and I are going to be. Wesley's also going to co-edit with me.
Oh, okay.
He's a brilliant editor, so a project of this magnitude, I thought it'd be smart to get some help
Oh,
on.
sure. Sure.
So he is going to be doing that. Oh, and well, we're going to be doing that, reading stories as they come in. And then yeah, and then in freeze dried candy news, I mean, I teamed up with Booty Apparel, who I met at Louisiana RetroCon,
Retrocon. Yeah.
and we struck up a friendship with the husband and wife team of Peter and Brandy. And
Yeah.
Peter is a fantastic artist, and David, my partner with Trick or Treat Candy Company, he David is big on branding. He's big. He has his eye on the big picture.
Yeah.
Um, he always is looking at what can we do next. And we've really gotten a lot of positive feedback when it comes to our mascot.
Yeah.
Um,
Little Vic.
yeah, little Vic, he's cool. I mean, he gets a lot of love. And David called me up and he said, what would be really neat is if we did let's just do simple comic strips in that Peanuts Sunday morning style. And it's so funny because I'm the horror writer, and we're working out the storyboard for the first one that just came out, and I'm like, hey, look, they gave the kid a rock. I'm like, so Vic's gonna go in there and smash their window and steal their candy, and then David's like, well, he's like, I was thinking maybe we make
We
this more.
could do that.
Yeah, we could have Vic murder everyone and take the candy back, or we could make this a little E for everyone and not do that. So,
Oh,
um,
all right.
so all right, fine. So whatever. And we have about three or four more comic strips, story ideas in the works.
Awesome.
But we just thought it would be something fun. It's something fun at these shows. The trick or treat gang is a fun idea. I'm going to work with Peter and Booty to get stickers made out of all of them. Um, a way for me to, like I said, to celebrate my love of the season of Halloween,
Right.
and just find more ways to do it, and share in that with other really talented people.
Awesome.
So yeah, between that and then I've got other books in the works. I've got things in the works. I got to get my recent book formatted and ready to go. That one is called The Patch. It's about
Cannibal
a
Fat Camp. Oh,
Yeah, well, like I said, I want to get this one out so I can have some time to work on Cannibal Fat Camp Part Two. Since
just
we've
how
spoke,
amazing would it be if you had Cannibal, if you're welcome to Camp Tum Tum
uh
and the anniversary edition of Cannibal Fat Camp come out at the same time?
well, that's the hope. Cannibal Fat Camp is with the formatter. I am going to contact her soon to get an update. I can't wait. I can't wait for what it
Yeah.
eventually looks like. So
What
yeah,
you,
there'll
the
be that.
secrets you've told me sound like it's going to be
Yeah,
amazing.
and she has the talent to deliver, so I know for sure it's going to look nice. So that'll be coming out, and then like I said, I'll have another book called The Patch, which
Hmm.
is my love letter to the season of Halloween. I would sum it up to where it's kind of like Michael Myers with a hit list,
Hmm.
um, and that I'm very excited to get into the hands of the public. So yeah, never a dull moment when you're
Nope.
when you're
And
creating.
still have time to come on my show. I'm honored. I'm
Hey,
honored.
I'm honored you keep having me, man. So yep, I'll be breaking news here left and right.
All right. That's what I'm talking about, man. Well, all right. It is that time of the show where I get to say, what is your penultimate choice?
My number two has already been named, and it is The Fly.
The Fly.
For all
Oh,
the reasons you said and more. Um, I mean, there's really no, I mean, we're going to rehash all the reasons we love it, but Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis, David Cronenberg, um, again, a movie that delivers chills, really takes you on a ride.
mhm.
Like you said, you go from loving this guy to really kind of hating the jerk that he becomes.
Right.
Then you just realize maybe flies are jerks. It's not
Yeah.
him. I didn't realize
Or
flies were.
what do they say?
I,
If not for the grace of God, I mean,
yeah.
we go. He he was really trying to do something big, something that would
Yeah.
help humanity. And
I
that damn
mean,
fly.
damn fly. The damn Gina Davis. You know, then you had that creepy scene where she gives birth to the larva
Uh-huh.
in that dream sequence. Like that was
Do
I'm
you
like,
know who the head gynecologist was in that scene?
mm-mm.
David Cronenberg.
I was gonna guess it, but I thought that would be dishonest if I just guessed it right. So I was gonna let you tell me.
No, anytime.
That's funny. That's fun. Yeah, I just it's just a great movie, and it's so radically different
Oh
from
yeah.
don't want to call the 1950s version cheesy because I try to think of these movies of the time
Right. That's
they
what you have
came
to do.
out. Like of the time, it was something really
Yeah.
spectacular. But like,
Well, that movie was such a slow
mhm,
burn until you get
yeah,
near the end and you see, plus it's being told in flashback style. So it's a
and
completely
then
different ride than the remake.
yeah, and then the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episode. I think they spoofed them both because you had
Yeah,
like the humanoid fly, and then you had the Bart's head on a fly.
right.
So he's like, "Hey, pizza," and and yeah, so that was a great. The Fly is a great movie. It is a definition of how you can take a remake can become its own standalone
Yes.
great horror movie.
Yeah. And
And I
and
don't
this
want to.
is an example of, okay, you can go and see the original, but it's a completely different movie, you
Yeah,
know?
nothing is similar to 13th Ghost. It's just nothing is spoiled by watching the original and watching the remake.
Right. That's why I'm waiting for a remake of The Tingler. That's going to be great.
No, yes. Wonder what they're going to name that.
I don't know.
The Tangler.
The Tangler. Um, well, oddly enough, my penultimate choice has also already been discussed, and it's 2001's 13 Ghosts.
Oh wow, nice.
And again, all of the things that you said, F. Murray Abraham was fantastic as the bad guy in this movie. Um, the what you said about the ghosts, the 12 bad ghosts and the one good ghost, making up the 13. But for me, it was just the world building that they did in this movie. I mean, there's so much to it that not only do you have the individual stories of what's going on with the individual ghosts and the pairing and what happened to them and where they are now, but also the house. I mean, just the house was its own entity. And just some amazing visual effects when the guy gets
Yeah,
the
when it goes
pane of
right in.
glass and it
Who's
breaks
that?
his
Is that
glasses and
Matthew?
they fall
Is that
off.
Matthew Lillard? Is that who that is? I
No,
think.
no, that was
Oh, that's
uh
right. Matthew Lillard was like his assistant, but then he comes
yes,
back as a ghost to help them at the end.
right, right.
Yes, that
Um
was cool. That was cool.
yeah. And so just again, the whole world building for me was they sat down. So Neil Marshall Stevens and Richard D'Ovidio whatever. Sorry, I don't mean to, but I can't say it. Just took this really interesting story from
Mm.
1960 and said, I hold my beer in a good way, and just fleshed it out so much. I mean, the little kid with the arrow and the two guns and
Yeah.
the princess. I mean, this woman walks around, naked, but horrific. I mean, just you
Think
know,
about the great opening scene with the Juggernaut in the
yes,
car in the junkyard. I mean,
yeah,
I want a movie that could have been a movie.
yeah. No, I agree. I am
You know,
so wanting that Hulu series for with each one of them getting their own thing.
maybe I need to do the anthology, and if I get sued, it'll just make them do it quicker.
There you go.
You know, like, okay, all right, I'll
I'll
stop doing it,
I'll
but
make
you
you a
gotta,
cake and send it to you in prison.
yeah, sure. Well, I mean, yeah, of course, I'd go to jail for that.
Yeah,
You know,
I'd make sure.
right? You would use this podcast as evidence. Like,
I've
oh,
got to say that Mark Scioneaux is a horrible person and needs to be in prison. Something
right.
like that.
Yeah, it's like the Muppets verse Mark C. Sino. Right.
Flames coming up behind me. He's gonna burn in hell.
That's right. Maybe I'll go viral.
There you
That'd
go.
be cool. I love
Oh, yeah.
13 Ghosts. I'm glad you hold it in such high esteem because it is such a fun movie.
It is such a fun movie. So we now have to get to our number ones. And
Ooh,
I know there's a story coming about why Dawn of the Dead was not your number two. So
yeah.
is this the point where you tell me what the story is, or do we wait until we finish our number ones?
I guess we'll wait till we finish so it doesn't
Okay.
spoil. Even though I know, I'll say I don't know, but I would literally bet my house that your number one isn't the one I'm thinking of. Um, so but we'll just wait till we finish.
Okay.
My number one remake is my all-time favorite zombie movie,
Okay.
and it is 1990 Night of the Living Dead,
The Tom Savini.
the Tom Savini remake that I have watched an ungodly amount of times. And I honestly think, while I have so much respect for the 1960s original Night of the Living Dead, I think the 1990 version is superior for
Really?
so many reasons. For starters, it's a remake that was written by George Romero.
Right.
Romero wrote the screenplay. Tom Savini directed it. It has fantastic practical effects, fantastic gore. It made
Fantastic
the
cast.
zombies a fantastic cast. You have Tony Todd, who is horror royalty as Ben.
Yeah,
You have Barbara, who is a badass.
she is.
They That really was, I think, the difference in my enjoyment of the one from the 60s and the one from the 90s. Is Barbara in the 60s was a, now granted, I'll cut her some slack because I would probably be catatonic screaming the whole time in a zombie outbreak. But that's what she was. She was just a screaming, wimpy, hysterical woman, which I guess, it's the 60s. Um, but in the 90s, Barbara snapped out of it and she kind of became final girl Ellen Ripley.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't know this, but I didn't realize Bill Moseley played her brother in the beginning.
Yeah. With the
He's
glasses.
he's Johnny. I mean, I had no idea that was Bill Moseley until a few years ago because he just looks the least Bill Moseley he's ever looked.
Right.
Um, that is my favorite all-time zombie movie. I can watch it over and over and over again. I find the zombies to be genuinely scary. I like that Tom Savini follows the zombie rules more than George Romero does, where
Yeah.
they're reanimated corpses, they're nothing more. They're not using, well, I guess they do use a tool. The only time they use a tool is when the little girl kills her mom in the cellar with, no, she doesn't. She doesn't. She bites her. In the original, she uses the garden trowel,
Prowl.
but in the
Yeah.
remake, she just bites her neck and then blood shoots on a garden trowel to then tell as a little wink to the original.
Right.
So I like the fact that he respects the zombie rules and makes them undead monsters. Um, God, I love the scene when Barbara comes back and the asshole.
She's got
I
the
forgot.
bandolier.
She's got the bandolier. She looks like she's ready to go, and she comes back in the house looking for Ben. And oh, I forgot his name. Oh, what was his name? I can hear Ben screaming his name. Was it Hooper? It was something.
I think you're right. I think it is Hooper.
I can hear his voice being like, "I've had enough of your shit, Hooper," or something. I want to say it's Hooper, but it probably isn't. Now I'm
Yeah.
looking him
Harry.
up.
No, it's Harry Cooper.
Hooper. I knew it was
Put them
Hooper.
together.
I should have just said Hooper. Um, I love when he comes back out of the cellar, like, or he comes out of the attic like a coward, and he's like, "Barbara, you came back," and she just blasts him right in the head. And
Right. Oh,
no,
so done.
no rules, just right. It is
Yeah.
just blast him and looks at the army, the militia guy, and she's like, "Up, we got another one for the fire."
Yeah.
And in the end, poor Ben, his ending's a little better in the remake than the original. In
Yeah.
the original, George Romero was really
Heartbreaking.
doing a well, and he was really doing a commentary on racism as well in America, but it's heartbreaking. He's in the window, he gets mistaken, they shoot him. But in the remake, he's bitten, he turns into a zombie, they take him out.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's just a perfect movie. I think it's a perfect zombie movie. I absolutely love it. And that is my number one remake of all time.
That's a great one. And I had to look it up because I couldn't remember her name. But Barbara was played by Patricia Tallman. And
Mm-hmm.
she is she was a stunt woman and before she became an actress. So she was actually going to be Tasha Yar. She was in the the running at the end when she lost to Denise Crosby for Star
Mm-hmm.
Trek: The Next Generation. and later on she got to play some other roles. And then she was on Babylon 5 for a long time as well. So
Okay.
yeah, so that's one of the reasons when you say she shows up as a badass, it made me
She
think, well,
is a
yeah, she's got all
badass.
that. Yeah, she is a badass, you know.
Yeah. They had a couple years ago, they did a reunion at Texas Frightmare, and I was kicking myself for
Mm.
not going. I think you had Bill Moseley, you had the actress who played Barbara, you had Tony Todd, you had Tom Savini, you had a couple other ones in there. I mean, I still love the scene where it's like the two country bumpkins, the young man and woman, and they're in the truck, and oh, they got a lock on this gas pump. How do I get it off? It's like, I know, a shotgun. It just Michael Bay must have produced that
Must have
moment
pretty
because that thing
cool.
just went kaboom, and I'm just and all those zombies were just snacking on barbecue, and I'm
Yeah,
just like,
barbecue. And look, barbecue is the theme of the night.
it is. We full circled it.
There you go.
So that's my number one.
Well, so you think you know what my number one is?
No, I don't. Oh,
Oh,
actually,
you don't.
yes, I do. I do
Okay.
think I know what it is.
Well, why don't you go ahead and try to tell me, what do you think my number one is?
Your number one is going to be The Thing.
No,
Ooh,
that's a good one though.
ah,
I
dang.
talk about the thing all
I
the
know.
time.
I know. That's
So,
why I was like, ooh, it's
I,
obscure enough.
yeah,
It's a great movie, and
it is.
that would have
That
been
that's a
I would have
great
bet money.
choice. But I
Yeah.
purposely made the decision not to do it because I talk about that movie a lot. So what I
Yes.
did is I took another movie that I absolutely love that's very meaningful to me
Nightmare
that
on Elm Street.
no, again, no,
I know. I know. If it had been that one, we'd have ended the phone.
yeah.
This would have been done.
So you can have one more guess.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't know. There's so many to choose from. God, see, it'd have to be a movie worthy of being number one.
Yeah.
It hasn't been picked yet. I would have guessed something like A Quarantine because how much you liked Wreck. I would have guessed The Thing, obviously, because that's checks all the boxes.
It's not Brewster's Million.
Well, that was my guess.
Yeah. So
Uh, no, I don't know. You tell me. What is it?
Dawn of the Dead from
No,
2004.
why did I pick Dawn of the Dead?
Ah, Zack Snyder and James Gunn getting
Yeah.
together, that whole first part of the movie where it's all hunky dory and she comes home to her perfect little neighborhood. And then the next morning we wake up, and after she finally gets away from her hubby and from the neighborhood girl, you see the exact same scene, but from the other side of the mirror.
Mhm.
And just the crane shot, not the crane shot, but the POV shot where she's
Mhm.
looking around and then she gets in the car and she's driving oh my God, the cinematography was amazing. Sarah Pauly, Ving Rhames, like you said earlier, Ving Rhames is amazing. He can do no wrong. He and the mall are the two things that really tie it back together to the original one. I feel. You've got Ty Burrell in it, and
Yes.
he
Playing a
was
creepy asshole character when he's like everyone's favorite on Modern Family, but he is a
yeah,
complete sleazeball in this movie.
he was so awesome. You get Scott Reiniger, Tom Savini, and Ken Foree all have little bits in the movie. You've got Zack Snyder as a soldier battling the zombies at one point, like I believe at the beginning. But my favorite part of this entire movie is Andy, the gun store owner. And so when they came out with, like, I don't know, it was called an Ultimate Edition or the Director's Edition or whatever, you could get it from Best Buy. It came with an extra disc. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but if you love this movie like you have,
Hmm.
and it's Andy's video diary
Right.
of all the events going on from his point of view. And it's phenomenal.
Well, it's also
And for the
cool, like
longest
when you
time, I thought that was Peter Fonda, but
oh,
it's not.
okay.
It's some guy named Bruce Bond.
Looked like Peter Fonda. It's also another cool thing you highlight is how cool DVDs used to be with special features.
Yep.
You don't get that with streaming. You don't get special features anymore.
Nope.
Um,
You don't.
but I love the yeah, speaking of like the overhead shot in the beginning, I love watching that, knowing that T-bone accident's about to happen when that
Yeah.
car just like runs the stop sign, hits the car, and they go spiraling into the gas station and
Yeah.
explode. Um, how awesome is it to live in a neighborhood where like you don't even have to lock your front door? That
Right.
little
You know,
the little girl zombie just
come
walked
on.
right on in and just waited. It has one of the just one of the greatest opening scenes for a horror movie. Get your blood
Yeah.
just
It really
pumping.
does.
And then that epic Johnny Cash song, as the world's falling apart through all the clips, the news clips, it is
Right.
just it's phenomenal. Great,
It is. It is.
great pick.
And one of the other things is Mikai Pfeiffer,
Yeah.
who you've got that whole other storyline going on with his girlfriend or fiance,
Hmm.
who's pregnant, who gets bit, and everybody's wondering, okay, and then you've got the whole other family with the rather large woman, and okay, what's going to happen there? And it's just there's so much going on, and they do a very, very great job of crafting it all together.
It's another movie. Again, that remake slamming the gas pedal.
Hmm.
You had all those crazy moments, and then it gave us that montage of that "Down with the Sickness" sung by what was his name? Something Cheese something. He's known for doing like piano lounge classics of
Oh
like
yeah.
metal songs. Did "Down with the Sickness," which was hilarious, while you're showing how they're all living life in this mall and having a great time. And then it just takes one person to be like, you know what? We need to get out of this fortress of safety and food
Right.
and comfort. We need to live. So let's all go out there and die. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
why? It's like, stay there, you idiot. But no, they all got to get out and they got to go on adventures and kill themselves. But I am waiting for the movie that takes place on the island
On
when
that,
they,
I'm with you.
at the very end, when they're at the island.
Yes.
I'm waiting. I want that movie. Um, Zack Snyder gave us, what did he give us? Casino of the Dead, or what was it called? The
He gave
that
us
one that came.
Army of the Dead in
Yeah,
Vegas.
yes, Army of the Dead. That was it.
It's
Which was good, and
fantastic. I love that
it
movie
is, and I
because it was
love it too.
fun. It wasn't the same.
But it's not. It wasn't the follow up to Dawn of the
Mm-mm.
Dead
No,
that I
no.
wanted. It went a little more B movie. It was fun. It was very
Yeah.
fun. That's a great choice. Again, a movie I've seen a million times. A movie that's ruined for me because it was my ex-wife and I's first date.
Uh,
Kind of I don't even really care at this point. She can't
yeah.
ruin everything,
No, she can't.
but I would have cheered for the zombies
Yeah.
um in that scenario as well. It's such a great choice. That's so funny. Our top
Yeah.
two remakes, both zombie movies.
That's right. All right. Lay the story on me. Why did Dawn of the Dead get punched all the way up to your honorable mentions?
Dawn of the Dead actually didn't even make the Fave Five. The
Yeah.
original number two was the Amityville Horror.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then I really started saying, I cannot leave the fly off. I can't
Oh,
leave the fly off and then I started reassessing the list and I'm like, what I was like, do I really like is Amityville Horror really number two?
yeah.
Or am I just mesmerized by Ryan Reynolds? I think it was Ryan Reynolds
His
shirtless. That
glistening
was
chest.
yeah, it was that. After I closed the window that had his picture up on my computer, um, I was free of the trance.
There you go.
Um, Dawn of the Dead, in a perfect world, my fave two would have been Night of the Living Dead and then Dawn of the Dead. I
Hmm.
just knew Night of the Living Dead was number one, and I didn't want to put another zombie movie
Yeah.
because I wanted to get a chance to talk about other movies with you, and I didn't want to put some movies that I'd already had discussed. Another one I love was Quarantine.
Yeah.
But again, it was like we've already discussed Quarantine. Um, then there were some movies that were hard. Like I really, really like the Friday the 13th movie that came out, I
Yeah.
think in 2008, maybe, or maybe it was sooner, or maybe it was later than that.
No, another one you're
I
talking about though.
I really like that movie, but I really went back and thought, is that a remake? Because it's
Yeah.
not really a remake. It's just another Jason movie.
Right.
It didn't feel like a true remake.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I ended up just leaving it off altogether.
Yeah.
Um,
You know what
but that
almost
one,
made my list
hmm,
was The Man Who Knew Too Much,
okay, that would have been,
because that's a
yeah.
great remake.
And also the other one, like we discussed, was briefly talked on, was The Thing.
Yeah,
Um, that just feels like it's separated itself into
it really has.
it's known as one of the best horror movies of all time. So it's kind of like it's almost unfair. It's almost yeah, it's not even fair to even mention that in remake land, but it really is. Now, if I would have said the remake of The Thing, then you could have ended the one that came out in like 2011 or whatever.
Yeah. Though that was actually a prequel.
It was a prequel. It
Yeah.
was. It was a prequel that was so much almost shot for shot like the original, but still a prequel somehow.
Yeah. Well, because it ends right up into the second, the original. Well, I should sorry, the 82 movie.
Right.
Just, uh, I mean, again, that's why I didn't pick it, because I
Yeah.
would have sat here and gone on and on and on about it. Um, but
Yeah.
the only thing I have any issue with, aside from a little bit of overusage of CGI in The Thing, the prequel, was the fact that they didn't have Kurt Russell at the
Could
very
have
end.
made it. Could have done
Could
something. Yeah, like
30 seconds, you know?
30 seconds of Kurt Russell.
Yeah, that would have tied it.
I What I love about the 1982 version of the thing is that if you spoke what did they speak? Was it Russian? Was it
Norwegian.
Norwegian? If you just spoke Norwegian, you would know that the dog wasn't real.
Yeah, from the
I would
very
have hit
beginning.
able to pop that pooch, and that would have been the end of that movie. The movie would have been 45 seconds long.
Let's go have
Um,
a let's go have some more JB and make it a day.
yeah, this was a hard list to narrow down.
Yeah.
This was a hard list to narrow down. I still feel like I left off really good horror movie remakes.
Yeah. So outside of the horror movie remakes, are there any like non-horror that maybe didn't make your list but that you like?
I honestly don't even know if I could name any. I gotta be honest. Like I don't know. I don't know if I can name any.
I
Um,
know I can definitely not name the Overboard remake. That movie was just
oh,
horrible. Um
Overboard with Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn.
that one I love. That is like one of
Okay.
my go-to movies.
Oh, you
Um
mean like even you're like okay, you I see where you're going with the remake. See, it's so
yeah.
funny. Like if it's not even horror, and it's funny. I don't watch just horror movies,
Hmm.
but those movies, non-horror remakes, just don't register with me. But I know what you mean. I know there are many that are non-horror.
Yeah. Yeah, Wonka. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I mean.
Yes, that almost gets into like, is it a remake or is it a reimagining territory? And then that becomes like that splitting hairs into what's a remake, what's reimagining. This is like multiverse Wonka, which was a delightful movie, by the way.
It
That
really
was,
was. Yeah.
I thought about movies like The Ring and The Grudge. I mean, the remakes of the Japanese or horror
There's a
movies,
lot of them like that.
but it's like that would again be so many. You could do a great episode on Fave 5 Japanese horror films,
Hmm.
um, or J horror.
I'm actually about ready to record Fave 5 foreign language films.
Wow, yeah, well
And
that's a lot to choose from on that one.
yeah, and I chose a lot of horror because that's, usually what I go to, but I do have a surprise in there. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, it's gonna be fun.
that'll be a fun one. Who's going to be your
So that's a
guest for
first
that?
time guest. His name is Aiden, and
Okay,
he is in CYT with my daughter Lily. He
okay,
just finished playing King Poseidon in their version of The Lightning Thief with Percy Jackson. So he
okay.
actually approached me. And Lily has talked about my show because she's been on it and stuff, and he likes foreign films. So I was like, okay, great.
Yeah, you got royalty on the show.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, I'm
So,
sitting here. I just Googled really quick non-horror movie remakes, and
uh-huh.
yeah, it's like so many movies that are just like, oh, well, of course. You had like The Lady Killers with Tom Hanks and
Yeah.
Meet the Parents. You've Got Mail. You've Got Mail might be my number one. I absolutely love You've Got Mail. I wonder if The Birdcage would be one also.
Oh yeah, because the La Cage aux Folles or whatever.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know me, we gotta stick to horror movies.
Got to stick to horror.
We
That's
gotta
what we
stick
go.
to what
That's
the
our go-to.
that's what the people want. They want the horror movies.
Yeah. Wow. Well, man, this has been great. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to make what I know was a tough list. With everything that you've got going on, sitting down and doing this, and for what we're about to do afterwards. One of the things that we haven't talked about that you and I are going to do
Yeah,
is
it's
we're
our OnlyFans.
yes, yeah,
What? Well, that's
it's
gonna be
Fansly. It's
uh,
Fansly. I keep telling you that.
oh, I I get him confused. I was logged into my other account. My bad.
So Mark and I are fixing to start off a little series of shorts where we pick a favorite movie from every year from 1931 up till now, and you'll be able to see those on TalkTick and on YouTube. That's the Sopranos version of YouTube. Um, but we're gonna pick certain years, and we're both gonna pick a movie from that year. I bet you they're all gonna be horror, and and we're gonna discuss them. So we're gonna actually record some of those tonight, and so you guys be looking for that. Those will just drop here and there and everywhere, and it should be a lot of fun. It's a lot of years, almost 100 years,
Yeah,
so it would be great. It would be great. So again, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. And to all of you out there in the podcast universe, thank you for listening to this episode of Faith Popper Bands. We know you have a choice in podcasts, and we appreciate you choosing us. If you like the show, please go out and just really leave a small rating and review, just to let people know how much you enjoy the show. Tell other people about it. Scribble it on the bathroom walls. Whatever it does to get it out there, that's what we want you to do. And we ask you to come in and interact with us. We're on Twitter, X, at Fave5 from Fans. And new episodes come out every Friday. So be sure to subscribe and to follow us so you can catch all of the episodes. All of Mark's all of Mark's socials will be at the end of this episode, so you can find him and all of the stuff. You better start saving your pennies now because you're going to be spending a lot of money at October Nice Press. And can't wait to see that copy of Camp Tum Tum. That's going to be a lot of fun.
yes.
So,
Thank you. Thank you, Jamie. As always, it is a blast, and I am already scheming for the next episode. We gotta get to episode number 10 or 11 with you. I gotta be the top one.
you got to get it. Got to get. Well, okay. I'm going to let that top pass because
Hey, oh
you,
God,
you earned that one.
we almost made it. So,
And remember, folks, it may not be the best, it may not be the most popular, but if it's your favorite, then it's good enough for us. Thanks so much for joining us. Mark, take us out.
thanks everyone. Have a good night. Stay spooky. Go watch some horror movies.